President Trump offered this assessment of his presidency over the weekend. He wrote on Twitter, "The Make America Great Again agenda is doing very well, despite the distraction of the witch hunt." Mr. Trump uses witch hunt to describe inquiries into Russian election meddling and possible collusion with Trump campaign officials. But we wanted to get an assessment from people who voted for Mr. Trump. So last week, CBS News contributor and Republican strategist Frank Luntz spoke with a group of voters and supporters about Mr. Trump's performance so far. The group was made up of 13 men and 7 women from ages 20 to 63. All of them backed Mr. Trump in November, and their opinions of the president span from somewhat unfavorable to extremely favorable. At various points, Frank showed the group a video clip involving President Trump. Each member could respond favorably or unfavorably to that clip. You'll see their opinions displayed on a graph over those clips as we are showing you right now. Frank Luntz is with us here for the rest of the hour to discuss what he has learned from these supporters. Frank, in our first clip, you asked the group to respond to clips from President Trump's first solo news conference in February. You're going to see how they reacted to the clip as it played, and then we're going to show a little bit of our discussion.
I just wanted to begin by mentioning this administration is running like a fine-tuned machine.
Tonight, we'll take a look under the hood.
To be honest, I inherited a mess.
After the president's first extraordinary solo news conference.
I'm not ranting and raving. I'm just telling you, you're dishonest people.
You said today that you had the biggest electoral margin since Ronald Reagan.
Well, no, I was given that information. I don't know. I was just given. We had a very, very big margin.
Is Putin testing you?
There has never been a presidency that's done so much in such a short period of time.
On the travel ban, would you accept that that was a good example of the smooth running of government?
Yeah, I do. Let me tell you about the travel.
Were there any mistakes in that?
Wait. Because I sort of enjoy this back and forth. How many times do I have to answer this question? I do get good ratings, you have to admit that.
So you guys are laughing at that.
Love it.
What's so funny?
What do you mean?
Because he's so real.
It's just real. It's authentic.
Yeah. He's real. He doesn't like he's not afraid to say what he thinks.
He's honest. I mean, he got good ratings when he was on television. And, when he's up there, he's himself. And if people can't accept that, then it's going to be a long 4 years for him.
Donald Trump is not a seasoned politician. He is an everyday man, just like the rest of us sitting here. And you're not going to get the polished sort of Barack Obama responses, if you will. You're going to get the real, honest Donald Trump.
We're now in the middle of June. I want you to give me one word or phrase to describe Donald Trump. Now that we have some idea of who he is and what he's done, and I'm going to have every one of you do this, give me a word or phrase to describe Donald Trump.
I'd say honest.
Determined.
Effective.
True.
Strong.
Productive.
Genuine.
Productive.
Authentic.
You voted for him. That was your first vote.
Yes.
Your very first presidential vote.
Yep.
Are you proud of that vote?
As of right now, yeah. I don't have any reason to regret it as of yet, but I'm not stuck on him for 2020 right off the bat.
The FBI director having to testify after being fired. The attorney general testifying about what happened with the Russians. More investigations, a lower approval rating, more division in this country, and you're proud of that vote.
I'm definitely proud.
Why?
Well, because it's something different. I'm a Republican, but I've never really, I liked George Bush, but, there's definite negatives with him. He expanded government. But at the same time, Donald's coming in and he's running like a business. People keep saying you can't run it like a business, it's the government, but I don't know why you can't be efficient in the government.
Do you consider this being run like a business, or do you consider this chaos?
I think it's being run like a business because he entrusts his people, his secretaries, to do their jobs, and he's not trying to micromanage the military and everything, which it's impossible for the president to micromanage everything. He has to let his people do their job.
He's a good judge of character.
Because he's coming in and trying to run it as a business. As he said, he's letting people do their jobs. And that is in such conflict with the bureaucracy that's so ingrained in Washington that those two elements they're going to clash. There's going to be some dysfunction. If he can do what he said he was going to do when he ran and get rid of some of that bureaucracy and run it and make things more lean and efficient, it's going to be smooth. But whenever there's a transition at a company, when they change CEOs, there's some chaos.
All right, let's bring in Frank Luntz. Frank, you were especially interested in the panel's response to the president's comments at that first solo news conference. Why?
Because it was so not presidential, something that we were not expecting. And the way that the media portrayed it, the public's reaction, the Trump voters' reaction was, this guy is different. He's exactly what we voted for. He's not a traditional politician. The comments that they made there, that he's unique, and most importantly, he's authentic.
Yeah.
These people don't want him to answer the questions the way politicians do. They don't want him to stop tweeting. They actually want him to continue. And in fact, in some ways, they want him to be even more direct because they feel like they've been badly governed up to this point, and they are so desperate, not just for a change in policy, but for a change in persona.
I thought it was interesting when you asked them also to describe the president. One of the first words that popped up was honest. And I'm not offering an opinion here, but the president talked about and tweeted about millions of people illegally voting in the election last year. It hasn't been proven. There's no evidence of that. Yeah, he's talked about Barack Obama wiretapping Trump Tower.
You're going back. I mean, this is what they would say to you right now. If they were sitting right here, they'd say to you, why are you going back 8 months? Why are you going back 6 months? So much is happening right now. We just had a kid die because of North Korea, and you're going back and relitigating the election? They would say, stop. Let's focus on what's happening right now. And it's one of the reasons why they're so hostile to the news media.
So let's talk about this Russia investigation. You sat down with this group after Attorney General Jeff Sessions testified before the Senate Intel Committee last week. They reacted to his hearing and the investigation in general. I want to play a little bit of that.
Did the Russians intervene in this election?
No, I mean, they didn't get into the voting machines and change votes. It wouldn't have made any difference one way or the other. Now, did they try to hack the election? We found out from the leaker, that woman, that yes, they did, but they weren't successful. So they're...
So should we be investigating the role of the Russians in this election?
This was the first presidential campaign that we actually had social media have a huge impact. And it was obvious that they had all their trolls and all those other things that were saturating Facebook and Twitter and all these other things that were affecting people at some level. How much
should we be investigating this?
Yeah, but not for the purpose
it's already been investigated. What can you do?
So you think we're done?
Shut down the internet?
So you think we're done? There's nothing more to learn?
Why not learn more? But don't do it for the purpose of overturning an election. Do it for the purpose of learning how we can put walls up, how we can keep
Isn't that
security.
What's happening now?
No, it's turning into a witch hunt.
But what is the cost of them having these committees and these investigations?
So do you believe that these investigations on the Russian interference in our elections are a waste of time and a waste of money?
Of course, absolutely. We need to move on.
Focused on the Russian, they're focused on Trump.
Yeah.
Impropriety.
They want to overturn the election.
In sessions today.
It's the thing. They can do investigations, but they don't have to do it in front of the full Senate and all these hearings.
And for the purpose of throwing Trump out.
Is there anyone in this room who thinks that Donald Trump had, or his campaign, had improper contacts with Russia? Yes or no?
No.
I have an important question to ask you. If it is shown that either he or his campaign did, in fact, have coordination with the Russians in terms of leaks or other aspects of the election, is that potentially an impeachable offense? Yes or no?
Show the evidence.
Who says it is? And who says it is not?
It's not what? If there's evidence.
What do you think about the way that Senator Sessions, about him, about the hearing?
I was very disappointed that Sessions did not have an answer to that question about why he felt he wasn't going to use executive privilege, but he wasn't going to say what he said. He said he wanted to reserve the right to have the information come out, then talk to Trump, and then let Trump decide if he's going to have executive privilege.
That's exactly. Again, he should have had a better answer because that's the question that every Democratic senator asked.
If you're going to ask a question, give the man a chance to answer it.
He needs to improve.
But he also, by the same token, he needed to be prepared for this.
He's got to improve his communication skills. He wasn't ready for all this gotcha stuff.
Yeah, if they didn't go through all those questions ahead of time, then his whole staff should be fired. But he came off very unprepared and a bit scattered.
How many of you felt that he came across as too unprepared for your liking? So almost all of you.
Really interesting. I find it, and I don't know these folks, and I didn't spend as much time as you did. I didn't spend any time with them at all. But did it seem to you as if there's a difficulty, or because what they're talking about is the investigation is happening because people want to overturn the election, or because people think that Donald Trump was elected improperly? Nobody has said that. He is the president of the United States.
But they feel so put upon. They feel so, and not even challenged, they feel like they're under attack. And the reason why I wanted to do this show is that I wanted to show people watching how these Trump voters actually feel, so that we're not putting words in their mouth.
Yeah.
They think that the news media is completely one-sided. They think that Hollywood is hostile to their values. They think that academia is teaching their children values that they don't appreciate. So these are the three fundamental aspects of America. And then add to it politics, Congress, the White House, and they feel like their country is slipping away, and they're loud about it because they're trying to fight for America's future. There's many things that they said there that I don't agree with. But I appreciate the fact that instead of quitting, instead of giving up, they're engaged in the process. I just wish that we could find a way to do it in a more civil and a more respectful way. And in fact, you got a segment on Congress that absolutely blew me away, because Paul Ryan, the Speaker of the House, the Republican leader, to them is part of the problem, not part of the solution.
That is very interesting. Actually, we're going to play that after a quick break. Frank, stay right here with us. Coming up, we are going to hear how that focus group sees the president's working relationship with House Speaker Paul Ryan and the apparent lack of progress on Capitol Hill. We're back with Frank Luntz, and we're looking at his conversation with a group of Trump supporters. Congress has slightly more than 20 working days until its August recess, but as of yet, no landmark legislation on health care, tax reform, or infrastructure. Those were core promises of President Trump during his campaign. So Frank asked supporters about the Republican agenda in Congress and the leadership of House Speaker Paul Ryan.
Word or phrase to describe Paul Ryan?
I think he's brilliant. Swamp.
Rhino. Undecisive.
Indecisive.
Mediocre.
Politician.
Disappointing.
Average.
Spineless.
Playing both sides.
Weasel.
Opportunist.
Problem solver.
Average.
He's a weasel? Weasel?
I just don't see him taking any leadership at all right now.
He wants to do the right thing.
For
And he's
who?
conflicted.
See, I think these guys are like so threatened by they want this big long career of being a politician. They don't want term limits. And the minute Trump said this is the end of that, we're going to have people that really want to serve our country, and we're going to cut it off. You can't be a lobbyist. You can't stay in there for the rest of your life.
Paul Ryan is the Speaker of the House.
Reluctantly.
He's the one responsible for getting Trump's agenda through.
He wants to.
And if he watches this, he's gonna feel good about it.
Hopefully he has an open mind.
Paul Ryan was holding back the tax reform on the premise of having an added value tax, which will hurt all of us. Let's talk the truth now. You want to go there? We'll dance on that.
Yes.
All right,
Why so negative?
2 times.
Well, I said average because the whole health care thing. I mean, you're right. He is set out to approve Trump's agenda, and he hasn't really done anything with it. It's just kind of a stalemate. It's sitting there, and there hasn't been a lot of talk about it. Now, there has been a lot of talk of distractions with the Russia thing, the Comey thing. So I just think that, there's not a lot of movement with Paul Ryan.
The thing that I'm aggravated with Ryan, as well as a lot of the Republican Party, is they had 7.5 years to fix Obamacare behind the scenes and come up with a different plan. They failed. When Paul Ryan advocated his plan, it's not the greatest plan.
I just want to say, if Republicans, they need to stop fighting one another.
Yeah.
They need to get behind the train and move forward and prove the media wrong, the haters wrong, and the Democrats wrong, and say and prove to the people that we're the party for African Americans, we're the party for low-income Americans, Latinos, we're the party for them.
How many of you would replace Paul Ryan if you could? Raise your hands if you would replace. Holy cow!
I don't know.
Who you pick?
You would replace him?
Absolutely.
Why?
I just feel like he's part of the establishment, and they don't know what to do since Trump is not. He's bucking their establishment rule, and he's going to do whatever he can do to kind of obstruct and make Donald Trump look bad.
You would replace Paul Ryan.
Yeah.
Why?
He's not fully committed to Trump's agenda, and you can just tell he's just kind of treading water and keeping the peace between Trump and Congress, and he doesn't know what to do.
I think the best example, when Obama was president, Harry Reid ran roughshod over the Senate and Pelosi over the House of Representatives, and they got his stuff done. Whether they agreed with it or not, they got his stuff done. Ryan and McConnell are not doing that. There's more fighting among the Republicans than there is between the Republicans and Democrats on his agenda. And if they don't get it figured out, 2018 is going to be ugly for the Republicans.
Really fascinating, this view of House Speaker Paul Ryan by folks, Frank, that we don't only hear from. I mean, these are the folks that you've been talking to that we don't see on the national media very often. They feel very strongly about that. And they're making a good point when they talk about people who have been in the swamp for many, many years, refuse to do anything else but be reelected over and over and over again. And I thought that last bit was interesting, where they said, look, the Democratic leadership may not have agreed with President Obama on everything, but whatever he decided he wanted to do, they made sure they whipped up the votes to get that done. And here you're not seeing that.
No, and that is this is a wake-up call for the GOP. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow night. But whatever happens, the Republicans are having a much more difficult time keeping a seat that they've held for 37 years. And the fact is, the Democrats have a lead right now in the congressional ballot, and Trump's favorability is in the upper 30s. This is not the recipe for success. And what those people are saying is that you better get your act together. And they don't use the word act, but we're cleaning it up because kids are watching. Right. Get your act together and get it done, because if you don't, we will hold you accountable. What's fascinating about these voters is that they are watching the news, they're reading the newspapers, they're paying very close attention, much closer than voters traditionally do. And they want to make sure that Donald Trump keeps his promises, and they expect House and Senate Republicans to follow him. And if they can't get it done for whatever excuse, they'll be punished.
And so the idea that the House leadership and House Republicans and Senate Republicans may say, look, there's a process that happens here in Washington. I know that some people see it as red tape, bureaucracy. They don't care.
They don't care. To them, you promised us. Business people get it done. They figure out how to work around the process to get it done. And they just want it done now.
All right. I want to play for our viewers an interesting clip, and it's one that got a very fascinating reaction from the focus group. It is President Trump pushing a fellow world leader in Europe earlier this year. Let's watch these dials.
At that NATO summit, President Trump drew attention with some aggressive posturing, brushing by the Prime Minister of Montenegro.
Hold it. He pushed by that European leader, and you all dialed it up.
I love it. I loved it.
What the hell?
It's great.
Because
we love it. We're America.
We're rude?
No,
we weren't rude. We're dominant.
He pushed by him, did he not?
They've been rude for years, sucking us dry and taking advantage of us.
Yeah.
So he pushes by them, and you think that's
just a love tap.
I think it was more than a push.
Just a love tap.
a love tap? Come on.
Come on, it's just the boys.
Yeah, I think it was less than a push. I think it was like a camaraderie kind of idea to be here.
It's our party.
Yeah, it was
We paid for this party.
Yes, we did.
You know, why should he have to sit in the back? Why should anybody have to say that, we're the Europeans and we're elitists? He just said, this is my place, man.
After 8 years, he made America great again on the world stage. He put us right to the front.
We've sung so weak for so long in the world, of which I've seen personally overseas, has laughed at us. Laughed at us while we were protecting them. He has to show we're strong. You want our help, you will work with us.
So my pushing her, and I've never done this to a focus group participant ever, that's not rude.
I didn't see it as a push like that. I saw it as a maneuvering for position.
Yep.
Yeah.
I thought it was purposeful. He chose to do it. Right.
Everybody was going slowly.
That the United States is now leading again.
That's right. Exactly.
After 8 years of sitting in the back, we're coming to the front and we're leading on the world stage again.
We don't want to do it in a slow way. We want to get out front now. We don't want everybody's meandering up there. He's like, let's do it.
Why am I looking at it wrong?
Because he was just going to the front of the line where he belonged. He is now the leader of the free world.
Exactly. And he's not embarrassed of it like Obama was. He's there.
He's not there to apologize.
All right.
This is my favorite segment of everything that happened. And it's because it isn't just about domestic policy or any policy. I want to be really clear. Donald Trump's appeal is his persona. It's his personality. It is less about the issues and much more that he's tough, that he's determined, that he doesn't sound like a traditional politician. That's what they love. And when he pushed himself up in front, they couldn't understand that I was shocked about it. To them, this is exactly where America belongs.
But did it strike you, Frank, and you've been in Washington for many, many years.
Not that many.
But
I'm not that old.
Not aging you. But the idea that that move, whatever they want to call it, a shove, a love tap, is somehow a personification of American dominance. And that one lady said dominant, as opposed to really leading on the diplomatic stage, on the world stage.
That's not the comparison.
I understand that we're using artsy-fartsy words here.
But that's not the comparison. The comparison to them is that Barack Obama went across the globe and apologized for America. Donald Trump is going across the globe and asserting
But
America.
all it takes is a president moving a world leader out of the way for the cameras for Americans to feel like that person is tough. Then the bar is really low.
But this is what they dislike, and I know the media segment's coming next, so this is a nice segue to it. This is what they hate about the media, that we might make conclusions that they don't believe, conclusions that they, frankly, find patently false. They want America to be in charge. They expect us to lead, because it's our money, it's our troops, it's our weapons, it's our commitment. And to them, Donald Trump represents everything that is good about America. Now, remember, these are Trump voters.
Right.
There's half the country that will look at this and say, oh, my God, this is embarrassing. But we hear from them every day. We don't hear from Trump voters every day.
It is interesting. And what's been your reaction? What have people been saying to you about these focus groups?
Okay. Let's see if I can pull it up here. So this is a gentleman. I don't know if I'm supposed to read his name, but it's Salam, if I can read it, Lewis, and he writes to me, Frank, your CBS group is uninformed, middle America, and stupid. Trump is a disaster. Find a focus group that reads. And I say this because I know that there are people who participate in this. That's arrogant. Find a focus group that reads, and it's obnoxious. And that is actually worse than anything that group has said. That group wasn't insulting.
Right.
We may disagree with them, but they didn't insult people.
Right.
And this is what bothers them so much. They treat others, they disagree, but they treat others with respect, and then they're treated like they're dirt.
Right. They're treated as if they don't know anything about...
That they don't exist.
Right.
But please, let's do the media one.
All right. Well, let's, in fact, talk about that. So President Trump reiterated Friday his belief that the media is covering fake news. You asked Trump supporters about media coverage of the White House. So let's play this clip, which starts with a video that you showed the focus group of President Trump.
I don't think there's ever been a president elected who in this short period of time has done what we've done.
He said he inherited a mess, but in just 28 days of the Trump presidency, there's been a year's worth of tumult and drama. The firing of his national security advisor, his travel ban struck down by the courts, his labor secretary nominee withdrawn under a cloud. Today, the president blamed most of it on the press.
Yes, we have to talk about it, to find out what's going on, because the press honestly is out of control. The level of dishonesty is out of control.
Every time Donald Trump attacks the press, you guys practically break your dials in support. Give me a word or phrase to describe the news media. We're going to start in the back.
Biased. 100% biased.
Liars. Slanted.
Manipulators.
Evil. Corrupt.
Evil?
Yeah.
Why? You seem like such a nice woman.
Thank you. I listen to a lot of news, and I believe they're so unfair. They're so targeted at what they want. They'll do anything to get their agenda. I feel that it's become, if it's not about them, they'll take anybody down.
They're just malicious in their reporting of the news. I mean, it's like someone said the other day with Trump, if Trump went into a burning building and pulled out 2 kids, the headlines would read, Trump abandons a burning building, and we see that all the time. So
they're threatened by him being as honest as he is, and he criticized them. Nobody ever criticized
They absolutely cannot promote his agenda.
Yeah, he goes around it by tweeting, and they hate that. They absolutely hate
We
that.
love it.
You love the tweeting.
We love the tweeting.
How many of you in this
Straight from the
room?
horse's mouth.
How many of you in this room love the tweeting? You think it's really appropriate for a president to do that?
Yeah. Sometimes.
It's the truth, though. It could be better.
Yeah.
It could be better. He needs to tone down the language a little bit, but the bottom line is it's his way to get the message out.
It's him being honest. It's him saying what he thinks. It's not him filtering it to somebody else who cleans it up, pretties it up. It's just him, and that's why I like it.
Why should the president conform and say what the press feels is appropriate?
But does he treat them with respect? Does he treat them?
They don't earn it.
He's the president of the United States.
Well, he earns it, but the press does not earn. They've not earned, his respect. They have dogged him from the day he announced his presidency. They have been on his case, saying he's going to do this, he's going to do that.
But at least he answers their questions.
I think he answers a ton of questions in an open forum. You see him just, every morning in these business briefings, and
He's the
very
best press
effective.
secretary. He should be his own press secretary. Him behind the podium is what I love watching him behind the podium, because it's real.
You really hate the press.
Yes. We have every reason to.
Yes.
But it really comes across as hate.
No, they come across as
Disgust.
hateful. We don't have to hate them to disagree with them and to see through their intentions. It's so obvious.
We hate what they're doing. Hate how it's affecting us.
Not them. Hate what they're doing. How they're twisting things to benefit them.
They're being very extremely unfair, and they've been that way for the past at least 9 years now. And actually, even in the Bush administration, they've made him out to be a buffoon no matter what he did. But Barack Obama, no matter what he did, it was wonderful. And now we're back to everything that Donald Trump does. He's a buffoon.
James Madison said freedom of the press is the right that guarantees all others. Evil is how the American people see the media.
And
at least these voters.
Yes, and Thomas Jefferson was actually the most critical of any president towards the media. He thought that it bordered on traitorous. So every president faces this, but none has the level of hostility that Trump voters feel the media projects on him. And you know what? When you look at these press conferences, the questions are, I think you can legitimately say the questions are much more pointed and they have a twist in them.
It is fascinating that they would feel this way. I have a lot of friends who are Trump supporters, and they will email me on Facebook all the time, and they will say many of the things I just heard there in that focus group, specifically that the press gave President Obama a free pass on everything, and for Donald Trump, it's always attack, attack, attack. Finally, Frank, you asked the group to assume the role of White House advisor. Let's listen.
If you could give Donald Trump one piece of advice, what would it be? I'm Donald Trump. What would you tell me?
I would say keep it up with what you're wanting to achieve and get rid of the baggage that needs to be gotten rid of still. You have not fired enough people.
What would you tell me?
Keep working hard. Keep your promises. Do what you say you're going to do.
What advice would you give me?
I would say you need to pray more and stay close to God.
Trust in the Lord with your whole heart and lean not to your own understanding. Acknowledge him in all your ways, and he shall direct your paths.
Amen.
Thank you, Reverend. What would you
I'd
say
say
to me?
sincerely collaborate. Just keep including those that oppose his views. Bring them in and listen.
Stay on task and don't buy into all the distractions that are coming from the left.
If you must tweet, make sure you think about it in a thoughtful manner and have someone proofread what you've tweeted.
Keep the promises that you made to the American people, because you are only getting more popular despite what the media may tell us.
Nobody's perfect. Keep being yourself, keep doing what you're doing, just keep moving forward. Get rid of the weeds, don't look to the side, don't look to the left side, just keep moving forward for America.
Remember what got you to the office. Remember the people, the promises. We're results oriented. We have to be in this critical stage of our country.
Keep us safe and trust your advisors.
Don't let the media bait you. Don't let your ego get in the way. And most importantly, work with everyone in the Congress and then let the world know if the other half doesn't want to join you.
Trust yourself remember what got you here.
Watch who you trust on both sides of the aisle and lock up Hillary Clinton.
I feel like these voters get it, Frank. I mean, they, at one hand, they say, stay true to yourself, President Trump, but proofread those tweets and make sure your ego doesn't get in the way, but please deliver for us.
And they appreciate his authenticity, but in the end, they really do want civility. And this is a great way to end this. We can't keep yelling at each other. We can't keep looking for the most harsh words to divide each other. We have to see a commonality with the media, with academia, with Hollywood, with the business community. That it used to be that Americans could work together to get things done. We would disagree without being disagreeable. That is what this whole thing teaches me, that we have to find a softer, a kinder, gentler approach in communication.
It is I like the word that you use, Frank, teach, because for all of us who are watching this and listening to these voters and these supporters say what they say, it is instructive for those of us who they may feel we don't hear them, but I think when we do segments like this and you talk to the folks like that, that is something that more and more people should take a listen to.
And I'm grateful that CBS took the time to show people this.
We appreciate you taking the time to talk to them. Thank you, Frank Luntz, CBS News contributor and Republican strategist.